Welcome to our daily Devo for Monday, the 29th of May. Happy Memorial Day to you today. We are traveling on to Dan, the city of Dan, the area of Dan. Um, for those of you who've been coming to the adult Sunday school class, that sounds familiar to you. The verse today, or the verse is 1 Kings chapter 12. Verses 26 to 30, they quote 26. Jeroboam thought to himself, the kingdom will now likely revert to the house of David. King Jeroboam the first, I thought it was King Jeroboam I, and that didn't make sense. King Jeroboam the first had a problem, and the sanctuary he built at Dan was part of his solution. But his solution became a real problem in the eyes of the Lord. Jeroboam's problem came on the heels of a significant political firestorm and redrawing of Israel's map. The once united kingdom of Israel, ruled by David and then Solomon, had split into two political entities, each with its own capital city and its own king. Jeroboam was the first king of the newly formed northern kingdom of Israel. Like any new political entity, this one was fragile, and Jeroboam knew it. Many of his subjects would be traveling to visit the temple in Jerusalem, the religious capital of the Jews and the political capital of the southern kingdom of Judah. And when they did, Jeroboam knew that the familiarity of that place would lead them to agitate for reunification. He paced and fretted, feeling his new kingdom slipping through his fingers. In response, Jeroboam developed a multi-pronged plan that involved building a sanctuary at Dan. He would keep his subjects from traveling to Jerusalem by tempting them with more conveniently located worship centers at Dan and Bethel. In each of these sanctuary cities, he offered a form of worship that blended the veneration of Baal and the Lord. The Baal calf was joined with the Exodus story to create a new national religion, one that was appealing to both his Baal-loving Canaanite subjects and the descendants of Abraham, who still had some affinity to the Lord, for the Lord. And the sanctuary cities accomplished one more purpose. They would retire the old adage, from Dan to Beersheba. Jeroboam no longer wanted to hear that expression, which had always been used to proclaim the extent of the united kingdom, Judges 20, verse 1 and 1 Samuel 3:20. Jeroboam wanted to replace it with a geographic expression that would cement the integrity of his new kingdom from Dan to Bethel. The Lord didn't celebrate the ingenuity of Jeroboam. And this thing became a sin, 1 Kings 12:30. This was such an abomination because it perverted an accurate understanding of who God is, all in the interest of political expediency. In the end, it shipwrecked Israel's faith and charted Israel's course to exile. And they reference 2 Kings chapter 17, 21 to 23. The lesson lingers. The Lord is different from any pagan deity. He alone is God. Any attempt to blend away this distinction, no matter how ingenious, is an abomination that has dire consequences. This political religion still rings true today, does it not? As it has down through all of history. Even the Christian faith finding it expedient to buddy up to the power of politics. We are doing it still today, making it easier to be a God believer, God follower, so that you can also make room for the ways of the world. We haven't learned. We haven't learned. 2 questions. Where do you see efforts to confuse the identity of God by blending his revelation with human-made perceptions? Human-made perceptions put together with God. Talk about muddied water. Question 2, what can you do to prevent alternate depictions of the divine from confusing your thinking about who God is? The prayer for today on this Memorial Day: Father, I feel the pull to compromise, but syncretism in the interest of expediency is not a virtue. Immerse me in your word and in a correct understanding of your identity so that I can quickly identify and reject a blended and inaccurate picture of who you are. Our God is greater. Fill in the blank after that. Our God is greater than. So why should I worry? Why should I have to fear that somehow I need to take control of the situation? That's what Jeroboam did and destroyed Israel in the process. Blessings to you today.